Greetings, good morning, and welcome to Mind the Moment, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Health Care. This, my friends, is our coffee house in the cloud, a place where we invite amazing mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and what it can mean for you. We'll be practicing together and then giving you a chance to let us know what's on your mind. It is November 19th, 2020. This week is Transgender Awareness Week, which the website of GLAAD describes as a week when transgender people and their allies take action to educate the public about who transgender people are, share stories and experiences, and advance advocacy around the issues of prejudice, discrimination, and violence that affect the transgender community. The gender nonconforming artist and scholar Kate Bornstein offers us the following in the book Gender Outlaw on Men, Women, and the Rest of Us. Bornstein writes, quote, "Personally, I think no question containing either or deserves a serious answer, and that includes the question of gender," end quote. As mindfulness is chiefly concerned with keeping one's views on the world as fresh, fluid, and flexible as possible, I am pleased to be spending this session beside a master teacher and student of the forum, the founder and director of Harvard Pilgrim's Mindfulness Program, Tara Healey. Good morning, Tara. How are you?
Good morning, John. I'm good. I'm well. And thank you for adding student, because I am definitely a lifelong student of this practice. So.
I hear you have a busy morning today. I hope, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Yes, it's back to back, but all things I love, so it's good. And hi, everybody. Good to be with you this morning.
Okay, everybody. So here's what we have in store for you today. In just one moment, Tara will be leading us in a 10-minute guided meditation on the wings of a brief exploration of one of the commonplace challenges which crop up in every meditator's practice. Then, in the third chapter of today's program, we will get into some Q&A, which is where we would especially like your help. Please open up the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Use it to type in any questions or comments you may have now, later, or whenever they might arise. Tara, on the subject of now, is there something in particular that you'd like to check in with folks about?
Yes. So, for those of you who've been following regularly, I've been kind of tapping into the senses, and we're going to start again. And so what I want you to, so the question I have for you is, what is a sound that brings you comfort, invokes a memory, a sound that you enjoy, that you love? So going back to sound.
All right, so a few words, if you would, around a sound that evokes a memory, something that makes you feel comforted and warm. While folks are thinking and typing, please know how grateful we are to you for setting aside these 30 minutes to be with us and to be with each other. Please keep in mind that only Tara and I will be able to see anything that you type. And if we don't have a chance to read your particular question or comment out loud, please know that we do read and value them all. As we close today, which will be right around 9 a.m., I will mention some other ways that you can keep in touch with us as well. All right, so here are a few things coming into the chat box. Sounds that evoke good feelings for people. Laughter, the wind chimes on my porch, my cat purring, birds chirping in the yard, the sound of waves or waterfalls, city sounds outside my window, waves coming in on a pebbled beach. Yes, the person says the gentle hiss versus the louder sound of the ocean hitting the rocks. That is a great two-part sound.
Yeah.
The songs of the Beatles. That's interesting. You know, I popped in Abbey Road on my headphones when I was running the other day, just kind of spontaneously. Fire crackling. The intro music to this webinar evokes a warm feeling. You know, this actually reminds me, somebody asked me in the chat box a while ago. I did not answer what the theme music is for at least currently. It's a bossa nova song by, I believe the gentleman's name is pronounced Lalo, or it might be Lalo Schifrin, L-A-L-O. He's, I believe, a Hungarian composer active in the 60s and 70s. Tara, sounds that you might have.
Well, one thing I just want to say, in the chat box, somebody wrote the leaf blowers in the neighborhood. And it's funny because as a kid, I loved the sound of a lawnmower, like a distant sound of a lawnmower. It was like, I don't know, it was something about summer and warmth and some, I don't know, I just loved it. But you know what I've been noticing that I love a lot, and I see that a few people have mentioned this as well, is the sound of birds this time of year. So there are others who like the lawnmower.
This is a very lawnmower forward group today. I would tell you, you probably can't hear this unless my microphone is better than I think it is, but in the other room, we just got my son, who is 3 months old, some toys. He's getting into a place in his young life where he actually is engaging with things. And so we got him these little stuffed things that hang above him that have this little chime in them. And right now I'm finding the sound of this chime to be very comforting. Although, get back to me in a few months and I'll tell you whether it has begun to annoy me yet. All right, so thank you everyone for
thank you.
Thoughts. Wonderful. And so before we go any further, just a quick announcement. Just as Harvard Pilgrim is always working to improve the health of our communities, so are we always trying to improve the efficacy of the free and virtual wellness programs which Harvard Pilgrim presents to the public, including the very thing you're watching now. And so we'd love to get your thoughts on what it is we've been doing right, where we could make improvements. So I have a link. I'm going to drop it into the chat box. This link opens onto a survey. If you would like, we'd love to have you copy and paste this link or click on it to open it. And then at any point during today's program or at any point later, fill out the survey that will appear in your browser when you click on the link. So give me 1 second to just pop this thing into the box. And there it is. Okay. So your thoughts are important to us. We'd love to hear from you. All right. So Tara, during our last 2 sessions together, we were exploring the set of 5 commonplace challenges which every meditator encounters at some point and which they'll probably keep encountering throughout their meditating lives. We've been calling these challenges by the following names: desire, hostility, fatigue, agitation, and doubt. Now, we've already given some thought to doubt and agitation. Today, I would love to get your thoughts on fatigue. What does fatigue look like in one's meditation practice? How does it affect one's ability to be mindful? Is it ever useful? And does it have an antidote?
Yes, and yes. No, this is a good way to start, John. So sleepiness or fatigue is so common. In fact, I think it might be the thing that I hear the most from meditators. And I have absolutely had my share of, no question. And I think, it's an interesting thing because our lives are so busy and full. And when we stop, there seems to be this like natural place of rest that we can actually go into head nods and, so there are, I think it's useful because any of those that John just mentioned, whether it's, anger or, whatever it might be coming up for you, any of those common factors that arise are always useful because it gives you practice to work with that thing. So sleepiness, fatigue is good in that it gives us practice to see, so we see that it's coming on and we can just adjust our bodies. A really helpful thing, a really helpful antidote is if you're super sleepy to just do a standing meditation practice. And if you typically close your eyes, you want to keep your eyes open, but gaze downward a little bit. But I think just changing your body position and standing is good. And it's actually worth it to, when you become aware, oftentimes sleepiness sneaks in without conscious awareness. And before you know it, you're out. But the more we work with it, the more we see it coming upon us. And then we can make some bodily adjustments, and it might be just simply, upright spine that is straight but not stiff, and readjusting but maintaining the seated posture. It might mean you have to get up, and it might mean opening your eyes. So all of those things are worth trying. But it's just one more thing to work with. And it can be unpleasant, it can be unpleasant. And sometimes, um, it might be an indication that you just need to have a little more rest.
I am proud to say that I believe there has been no session of the Coffee House in the Cloud series where anybody has ever seen me nodding off. Hopefully it will not be today. Well, actually, this is a good, if people are experiencing sleepiness in their meditation, just imagine that there is a bunch of people watching you meditate, and it will really keep you awake during it. So on that note, Tara, let's go ahead and do it.
All right. So standing or sitting, whichever posture you feel is going to serve you and support you this morning, you can go ahead and take that posture, and then just make the micro movements you need to make in your body so that you feel like you are upright and engaged, connected, aware. And let's just start with a deep inhalation through the nose and a bit longer exhalation through the mouth, just as a way to settle surface tension. So on your own, because all of our breathing patterns are unique, just deep inhalation through the nose, a little bit longer exhalation through the mouth, and do that a couple times. And just begin to notice the rhythm of your breath and where in the body the sensation of breathing in and out feels most connected for you, where you notice it the most. Could be the belly, the abdomen, the chest. And locating that particular area and sticking with it for the rest of the practice, letting that part of your body where you notice breath be the anchor that you return to each time the mind naturally wanders. So remembering, the mind wandering is natural. We're just deciding that we're not going to continue entertaining a thought or a memory. So every time we notice, we're just escorting the attention back to the anchor being breath. However, if breath is difficult for you this morning, you could touch your palms together and just notice that point of contact, or become aware of points of contact along the back of the body. It's also fine if there is a somewhat consistent sound in your environment right now, to use that as an anchor. And noticing where the mind is. Gently releasing the story, the memory, softening the body and returning to your anchor, whatever you're using this morning. Tracking breath or body sensation or sound. And again, noticing where the mind is, releasing the story, the releasing thought, softening the body, and returning to your anchor. And again, noticing where the mind is, returning to your anchor, softening the body. And I'm going to count back from 3 to 1. And when I arrive at 1, you can allow the eyes to open. So 3, 2, and 1. If your eyes were closed, opening the eyes and re-engaging. John, it almost looks like there's a haze of fog behind me.
Yeah, well, Tara, people don't know that had a smoke maker installed in order to make it more dramatic effect. I wanted to
Does
really like.
everybody see this? Like it seems more than usual.
I like it when so the atmosphere kind of looks like a Def Leppard music video from the
Okay,
80s.
thank you for those of you responding yes, so people do notice. Okay.
So as long as you're not smelling any smoke, Tara, I think we're
No, everything everything's fine.
So, folks, I want to make sure that everyone feels welcome and encouraged to ask Tara any questions you might have about fatigue, other meditative challenges, what's going on in her kitchen, anything else that might occur to you using the
Yes,
chat box.
please. I would love to hear from you, and John and I really enjoy engaging.
So in the meantime, Tara, let me get us rolling with a question of my own. So I'd like to
Yes.
look again at this idea of fatigue, not so much in terms of its physical expression, but rather its psychological expression. A lot of us right now may be experiencing post-election fatigue, especially if things didn't change in quite the way we wanted them to, or perhaps are not as changing as quickly as we might like them to.
Yeah.
I might even suggest that certain groups in our society are happy when people become politically fatigued, as it opens us up to the experience of despair, embodied perhaps by the deflating idea that things are never really going to change, so why should we bother? Can mindfulness help us combat the despair that we encounter or confront in our lives?
Yeah, well, it's a supportive tool for sure, because one of the things that I have always loved about this practice that I connect in with is that it's a practice of seeing with clarity how things actually are, not how we wish they were or think that they should be. So that you're starting from a place of clear seeing, not fantasy about how you want something to be or despair about what is happening, and it is a practice of how do we engage and relate to those things that are happening that are true and that are real. And when we add resistance, which is, of course, it's a natural response to unpleasant things, whatever they are, the resistance is a natural response. But when we add the resistance, we are actually doubling the pain of the situation. And so what we're doing is learning to relate with clear seeing, with openness, and we're kind of feeling the physical effects of whatever it is in our body, that, and again, this is a empirical practice where you test for yourself and see. So there's actually nothing to believe here other than, a testing and see, well, what if I come out of the stories, or what if I see my thoughts without believing them, that they, so it's a practice that helps us with discriminating wisdom.
Yeah, I'm this you mentioned the idea of feeling these things in the body, and when I think about despair for myself, the way I often think of it is feeling like heaviness in the body. It's almost like I'm wearing a coat that has been just stuffed with its pockets stuffed full of like rocks, right? It's like, I think of it as the opposite of like a pickpocket who is like sneaking things out of your pockets.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like throughout the day, it's like things are being sneaked into my pockets. These like challenging emotions and thoughts.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, it's like I wasn't even aware it was happening, and yet there's this like sense of heaviness. And so I think with this, the power of mindfulness is, first of all, to notice that heaviness. Like,
Yes,
oh my gosh,
yes.
like what is in my pockets?
To notice. And that's what regular practice helps us do.
Yeah. And also I think to think, okay, so it's this is not me. I am not the heaviness. Things have been added to me, or I've allowed them to be added through inattention, through not paying enough attention.
Yeah, really good, John. Yeah, absolutely. There's a phrase I love, which is thoughts and emotions slip in unnoticed and then have all this control over us. The practicing helps us with the noticing. so that we can become a steward of the mind, right? Like we can be back in the driver's seat of and it's not about pushing it away or not having it, but you're learning to have some comfort with the discomfort that arises.
Well, so Tara, one of our viewers is asking, they say they find it difficult to sit with the despair or tough feelings. Any suggestions? I think that, I mean, it's a great question, because sometimes if you're feeling those tough feelings, it might not seem natural to be like, oh, well, I'm going to now meditate and just, be suffused in them. So
Right.
do you have any thoughts on how to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just, in some ways, it depends on kind of the level of despair or discomfort, because you're right. But there's a couple things that I would offer. One is that it might not be a bad idea to test out a few different things. So the first thing is to actually, if you feel like you can, see if you can sit with it for 1 or 2 minutes. And what I mean by sit with it is that you're coming out of the stories about it and coming into the physicality. Like, what does pulsing, vibration, rapid heart rate, like, what does that feel like? So you're upping the curiosity and you're entering with receptivity to what is going on here, what is actually happening. Can I be with this heartbeat that's rapid? Can I be with this clenching in my abdomen? So that's one thing. The other thing is to try a walking meditation practice. So it helps, movement masks a bit that kind of angst in a good way. So movement can kind of mask it a bit and help you deal with it. So it might be just doing a little bit of walking meditation, and I would suggest outside is really helpful. Doing mindful movement, like, yoga practices, but bringing awareness to body and breath.
Yeah, I know in this practice we talk about not becoming distracted, but I think there can be value in distracting yourself from difficult feelings if you're distracting yourself towards attention, because at least that gives you that
absolutely
inroad, right?
Right. Yeah, so true.
So somebody asked, and I love this question. I've never seen this question before, so I want to report it here. Does anyone notice their head tilting back during meditation? If so, why does this happen? Okay, so what you have to know, so people watching, what you have to know is that this is actually what it is a standard thing for me. And while we're doing these sessions, knowing that people are watching, I really try to keep my head, because if I was naturally meditating, my head would eventually go back a little bit like this, but it would look very strange. So this actually is something that happens to me, Tara. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this.
I have not. No, okay. but it did. I mean, there's all kinds of things that happen to people in practice, with their bodies. And I mean, I've had extreme upper body fatigue, like extreme, very painful. So, not everybody gets that. So, but, for me, and this could be related to the head thing too, is that, I would actually come out of the stories about it like, oh my gosh, did I hurt my shoulder? I wonder if I did something, like those are all the things. But then, what's the expression of what I'm calling pain in my body? What exactly is it? And when you sort of up the curiosity, and it's not about not taking an action. So what I wound up doing is working with it that way, like, okay, let me see if I can be with this. But then I started to prop my arms up, and that helped a lot. So it wasn't immediate. I actually would work with it for a bit and then relieve it. So it's not about like torture.
And nobody should take my own thoughts on this seriously, but when my head does tilt back, I actually think of it as the negative energies and or thoughts kind of forcing themselves up on the top. Now, I mean, that's not happening literally, but I actually find that to be a useful sort of analogy for me to fix on.
And someone tilts forward, I'm seeing too, right?
There you go. Also fine.
Yeah, also absolutely fine. And by the way, if I had shades, I'd pull them down. I have no shades in my house, pretty much anywhere.
Well, let's make you a little bit smaller, Tara. So, well, here we are. But we'll be back with you every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time No matter what's happening in the world, we'll be here to help you turn a mindful eye upon it. If you have any questions or comments for us in the meantime, please send them to askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org, or feel free to leave me a voicemail at 617-509-7047. Okay, let's, sorry, 1 second. I know we're going over time, and so I want to,
yeah, I mean, if anybody needs to jump off, they can, of course.
Let me just bring us around towards the ending. Please find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, and if I may turn back for a moment towards Transgender Awareness Week, I'd just like to offer a closing word from the late transgender activist and author Leslie Feinberg, who wrote movingly of the idea that when we suppress others, or when we allow others to be suppressed, it is not only the suppressed persons who suffer, but all of humanity. Feinberg wrote, "When our lives are suppressed, everyone is denied an understanding of the rich diversity of expression and experience that exists in human society." So Tara, thank you as always for allowing your guidance to be a very sturdy plank in the great platform of expressed mindfulness and mindfulness instruction. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, I just think the times we're in are so tough. And, reading some of the comments as well about not being able to be with family this time of year. And I'm struggling with that same thing right now, and realizing that I may need to be home by myself on Thursday next week. So take really good care. I think the best thing we can do now is take good care. And sometimes that's also like, watching a good show on Netflix or Prime or Hulu, or listening to good music, music that you love, that is comforting. Listening to the sounds that so many of you talked about that bring joy, and take that all in, and feel the pain and the despair as well. So it's not about not feeling it, but it's putting, stepping in, noticing, feeling with great care, and then doing something else, like, or baking, or, something that is going to bring you joy. So my message is to just take really good care, everyone. And I am so happy to join you every week.
Thank you for that, Tara. Wonderful closing sentiments. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next week. Do have a great weekend and a momentous day.